imagine how crappy the world is down there. But after this hour of power, there is not going to be any more crappiness, because I'm going to give you some tips and hints. We're going to have some fun, and there will be shopping vouchers up for grabs. We'll do some pub trivia. And if that's not enough to engage you, we're going to learn a whole lot about mindset and trying to look at things slightly differently. Now, I'm not asking you to run around and be Griz happy every day. What I'm asking you to consider is finding some light at the end of your tunnel. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, because we've got some videos to walk through. We've got some things to discuss, and we've got to get pub trivia up and racing. So turn on your sound. You know, if you're already sick of hearing me, don't worry, you won't hear me much. But I do want you to turn on your sound so that we can get this party started. Thank you all for making the effort to come. More than anything, I can't do any of this stuff without you. So can you see this, Doing Life 2020? Yeah? Okay. Yep. So what I'm going to talk about today and share with you is some tips and hints on getting through the back half of 2020, because I think we've still got a way to go. But if we can think about how we can do it as best as we can, we're going to get to the end. And, you know, if nothing else, when we survive what has been 2020, we'll look back and go, we are resilient, we are passionate, we are real, we are raw, we are emotive, and we can do anything. So let's look at that today. Your webinar is absolutely not about me didactically telling you anything. It's all about having a whole lot of fun for the next hour. And to kick off that fun, let me share with you what we're going to do for the next 60 minutes or so. We're going to ride a few roller coasters. And when we're not riding roller coasters, we're going to do some pub trivia. Now, as you just heard me say, the best bit about pub trivia is you're going to have to turn on your microphones for this, because there are 7 questions or 6 questions. And the first person that says their name and the answer gets a shopping voucher delivered to them this afternoon that you can go home shopping all evening tonight. BWS might be involved. You might need a bit of alcohol. Maybe even after this session, you might need some alcohol. If you don't need alcohol, there is food, there is Kmart, there is Big W, and there's a whole lot of stuff. So stick around for pub trivia happening very, very shortly. We're going to look at making your bed and the importance of something as simple as making your bed every day. So I'm going to show you a video around that. I'm going to be checking out how to be a dealer of dopamine, because dopamine is that hormone that we need to have a whole lot of in our brains at the moment just to get us up and going every day. So you don't need to be the dealer of drugs anymore. This is way better. Dealer of dopamine, and you won't get yourself in trouble. In other words, you're going to have people love you for it. And we're not dealing dopamine. I'm going to talk to you about a Duncan guy in Hillsville. I'm going to also give you some tips on fixed mindset and growth mindset. Then you're going to meet Dean, my husband. Well, sort of meet Dean. I've got a bit of a story about him that I'd like to share with you. We're going to also meet some nuns. I can't tell you any more about that. And last but not least, we're going to do some love letters. So that is what your hour of power looks like. Do not go anywhere. Stick around, because you are about to have the time of your life. So let's kick it off with, as promised, some pub trivia. Now, I actually can't hear anything at the moment, so I'm not sure if it's best if just for this few moments we turn on your microphone so that you can, in fact, yell out your name and the answer, and as soon as you get the answer, you will have a shopping voucher up for grabs this afternoon. So is everyone clear on how we're going to roll with this? 6 questions, first person, you can't name, so Griz, and then say the answer and you'll get yourself a shopping voucher. Nicole is going to be our pub trivia scorer. So let's kick it off. Question number 1, which host of the Oscars took a giant selfie with attendees? And for a bonus point, what food did she deliver to the audience? Who's got that? Anyone? Which host of the Oscars took a giant selfie with attendees? And for a bonus point, what food did she deliver? Anyone? Nick, do you know the answer to that?
No.
I do.
Oh, okay, it's Ellen. Ellen DeGeneres.
What does?
Yeah, Ellen, and the food she delivered to the audience was pizza.
Ah, I didn't know about pizza.
Okay, question number 2, what's the hardest rock? Anyone know? Come on, hardest rock. Anyone?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Yeah, no, that should get you. I reckon that should get you a shopping voucher coming your way. It is a diamond. Question number 3, whose son 9 to 5?
Oh my God, what's her name? She has Dolly Parton.
Yes, a shopping voucher coming your way, Nick, for Dolly Parton.
We need our attendees. Everyone online, come on. We need to hear you. Hands up, raise your hands.
Who's bringing?
Samantha Cowling. That was, she put her hand up.
Good on you, Samantha. What's the answer? Who's bringing sexy back?
And I'm not host actually, so let me just see. Just write your answer down to on the chat if you can, Samantha.
Perfect.
But I think was that the who's bringing sexy back? Sam.
Yep.
What?
Oh, Helen wrote Justin Timberlake.
Yes.
Timberlake. Helena.
Helena, sorry.
Helena is saying worth getting a gift voucher.
Great.
Okay, awesome. We've only got 2 more to go, thank goodness. Question number 5, sing the next line to this song. Now this is going to be, or you might have to type it if you can't sing it because I can't hear you. I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, will you do the fandango?
I know this too, but I hold back.
Oh, who's got this one? Oh, who's got it? I see a little silhouette of a man. I can't believe I'm singing at lunchtime. Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Next bit.
Someone's typing for sure, definitely.
Good. The voucher going your way. Are the words right?
Little bolt of lightning, very, very frightening. Is that it? Very, very frightening.
Yes.
That's 12 for getting that one. Well done, shopping voucher coming your way.
Oh, you know what? We'll give that one to Mary Galanis because Mary was the first attendee, so we'll give that one to Mary.
Mary, you so get that. Well done on being the first attendee. You clearly could not wait to get here at lunchtime today. And our last one, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy. What is the next line of that movie? I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy. And I just need the answer. Someone's typing.
Rita.
Marita, what have you got for us?
Clueless? Helena?
No, not Pretty Woman,
Nadine.
Notting Hill.
Nadine,
What is it?
asking him to love her.
Oh my gosh, Dean, you little chick flick dude.
No, Nadine.
Nadine.
Oh,
Nadine.
Oh, like Nadine on the line, and he loves a girl movie. Nadine, you are so right. I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her from the movie Notting Hill. So for all those people that wrote the answers, sung along,
Oh, Victoria also got it.
there will be shopping vouchers coming your way later on this afternoon. So Nick will send me through your email addresses and you'll have those in your inbox before we hit night time tonight. So you can go and get that alcohol from BWS as early as you want. All right, let's get cracking. Let's get cracking. I have a video I want to show you first up. I'm not going to make you run around and bring something back with tea because it might be a bit hard. I want to share with you a video, and this is going to set the tone for what the next 50 minutes look like. So have a look at this. It goes for about 4.5 minutes, and it's so good. Sit back, grab your popcorn, and check this out.
If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. Over a few weeks of difficult training, My SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and 1 special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down to the Mud Flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive the freezing cold, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction of the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us mud if only 5 men would quit. Only 5 men, just 5 men, and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became 2, and 2 became 3, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing, but the singing persisted, and somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never, ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better.
Alrighty. So it's a really simple process. No matter how crappy your days, and there's going to be crappy days, and there's someone going to come offshore, what you need to do is just do something. So that if you have a crappy day, you get home at night and you made a bed and you hop into it, the bed that you made, and that's going to make you feel better. So some of the principles from that video, and there's some really good ones, and if you've got kids at the moment going through school, certainly in Melbourne, you've got kids doing year 11 and 12, this is a really good link, and I'm more than happy to share it with you to show them, because it talks about everything from start your day with a task completed. And in the depth of those darkest days, just get up and do something. If it's wash your hair, if it's blow dry your hair, if it's make your bed, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but it's just something little so that you walk around all day and it's something that you've achieved for the day. So don't go it alone is my next tip for you. That's something that we talk about in the Make Your Bed video. Don't go through this alone. Find your friends, find your support network. Call myself, call Nick, call anyone. We love a chat. We certainly do, and we're always here to chat. So don't go it alone. And remember, people's sizes of their hearts are all that matters. And I can imagine in your own support networks and you with your own hearts, they're really, really big. And hearts are so sustainable and they can do so many good things. So don't underestimate the importance of the size of your heart. When you need a bit of someone else's for the day, just grab their own little bit of their heart, shove it into yours, and that'll make it a perfect one. Life's not fair, as we know, and I mean, especially for you guys again in Melbourne, life is really extremely tough at the moment, and it's not fair. We're all in it together, and we're going to make sure that we get you through the other side. Failure can sometimes make you stronger, so I'm sure we'll be looking to all of you guys when life is some sort of back to whatever normal looks like. You are the resilient ones. You're the ones that are going to make all of us stronger because of what you've had to endure on behalf of pretty much everyone. I encourage you to dare greatly. Stand up to those bullies that are really annoying you. Stand up to them. As we say, punch the sharks in the snout. Rise to any occasion, and you guys are currently rising to this crazy occasion right now. So continue to keep rising to that. Give anyone around you hope. If someone needs an ear for you to listen to or them to listen to you, just give them a bit of hope. Give them a bit of positive affirmation. Give them some reassurance. Even if in your guts right down below in your gizzard you do not believe it, try and give people hope wherever you can, and never, ever, 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 ever give up. And if we can get through this, I tell you what, we can absolutely get through anything. So don't underestimate the importance of starting your task with one day completed. And when you get into a bed tonight, it's your bed that you made and you've achieved something. So don't underestimate the importance of the little things, because they're the stuff that matters. I say to people all the time, sweat the small stuff. You know, sweat the hellos and the thank yous and the pleases and the smile. Sweat that stuff, because the big stuff doesn't even matter if you can't do the small stuff right. So sweat the small stuff and the big stuff will be great. So I want you to think about for a moment, how do you make people feel? And that's a really important thing to think about you, because if you can make people feel good, you will also feel better yourself. Now, everything that I'm talking to you guys about today needs to be done genuine. Needs to be done with that real rawness of you. I don't want you to leave here and go, oh my gosh, Griz has told me to go around and make people feel good, so I better say thank you. That's not what this is about. Find it in your own way. Find it in your own style. Be you, and don't ever change being you. How can you, though, make people feel good? Is it by smiling? Is it by thanking them on a little note? Is it by acknowledging them? Is it by using their name? Whatever it is, how do you make people feel? Because that's what matters. People won't always remember what you said, but they will absolutely always remember the way you make someone feel. So think about, after every interaction you have, when you leave that interaction, how do I make that person feel? Do I make them feel angry or sad or happy? And try and get more on that happy side of emotions at the moment. And we don't often think about how we make someone feel after we've chatted to them. Even when you hang up on the phone or you send someone a text, think about how that text have made them feel, because that's the stuff that matters. It's not the word on the text. It's when they put down that phone, do they feel that warm glow in their belly? Do they feel that energizer vigor that you gave them from something you said that they did well in? Doesn't matter what you say or what medium you're using, but you will touch people's hearts and connect with them by the way you make them feel. So don't underestimate the importance of that. And what comes with that is dopamine. And that's what I said to you earlier on this agenda is, I want you guys to become dopamine dealers everywhere you go. Now, you know as well as me, being in the medical fraternity, dopamine is a drug and it's in your brain. It's like a neon light. And it says, remember me, remember this moment in time. And when you are out and about, give as much dopamine to other people, so that when you ring them next week and they see your name on their phone, they go back, their memory remembers the last interaction with you. And if that interaction made them feel good, the dopamine will start pulsating in their brain and they'll want to pick up the phone and talk to you. If you've had a really bad interaction with someone and you create no dopamine, there is no way when you ring them on that phone, they're going to want to pick up and talk to you, because the last interaction they remember about you didn't create any dopamine at all. So the more you can be dopamine dealers, certainly at a time like now, the more people you are going to make feel good. And that's going to make you guys feel good Again, do it genuinely. And I'll give you a really good example. Think about this. Think about you've had an awesome day at work. Everything went really well and you sprung out of the work doors when we can go back to the office or when we can go back out to seeing our customers and our clients. And you got home at night and you had a really good day and sales were fabulous and everything went really well. You go to set the alarm to get up at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. You set the alarm for 6 o'clock, you go to sleep, you think about, oh God, that was so good. I had such a good day and I felt really good. The alarm goes off at 6 a.m. the next morning. And the first thing you think about in your brain is, I've got to turn off the alarm, I'm going to work. Now, if work provided you dopamine the day before, you jump up and you turn off that alarm and the dopamine kicks in because it remembers that the day like yesterday was really, really good. So you are okay to get up, turn off the alarm and off you go for your day. Scenario number 2, you've had a really crappy day at work, deals fell through, equipment went bad, clients were ringing you, it was just really crappy, sales data came through, Dan Andrews said something was happening in Melbourne, so everything was just a bit yuck. You get home, you crawl into bed, you set your alarm for 6 o'clock and you wake up in the morning and the alarm goes off and the first thing you think about is work. Now your dopamine is not going to pulsate at all. The minute you think about work, you'll think, oh, I might just pull back the covers and go back to sleep because I had a really crappy day. So dopamine does wonders, and it does wonders in your friendship group, it does wonders in your clients and your customers group, but it also does wonders to you. If you've got dopamine pulsating in your brain, you feel better. So deal it, receive it, use it as much as you can, and it doesn't cost anything. So the more dopamine you can deal to people and the more you can remind yourself of good things that you're doing, you're going to feel better. So don't underestimate the importance of becoming the best dopamine dealer Melbourne has ever seen. Now, this is a really interesting stat. Neuroscience suggests that doing this one thing makes you just as happy as eating 2,000 chocolate bars, and it also gives you the same amount of neurological boost as receiving 25k. So what is this one thing? And it's as simple as smiling. And I know you're sitting there going, Griz, I'm really struggling to smile at the moment. I'm going to give you some tips and hints. If you can't smile at the moment, do not fear. I am here to give you some really good, there'll be 2 tips about smiling, and I'll tell you how to do it so that it's natural and it feels good, and that will again increase your dopamine. Before I give you the tips though, I talked about this on the morning show a little while ago now, and I speak about all these things. I talk about smiling and dopamine as I'm doing to you today, and I don't really think much of it. I read the data and the science, and there's so much clinical trials on laughter. It's the best medicine, and all this stuff. Anyway, so I did this segment on smiling on the morning show, and then the next couple of days went by, and a guy called Duncan from Hillsville, you know Hillsville? Up Middle Sanctuary. Well, he rang the morning show and he said, I have to get hold of Griz. And the morning show said, well, we can't give you her mobile number. We'll pass on the message. And a couple more days went by. The morning show didn't give me the message. And Duncan kept ringing the morning show. I need to get hold of Griz. I need to get hold of Griz. So finally the morning show rang me and they said, look, Griz, this guy Duncan from Hillsville rang you and he said he must speak to you about the smiling segment. So I thought, gosh, if Duncan's trying to get hold of me, the least I can do is ring him back. So I ring Duncan in Hillsville and I go, hi, Duncan, it's Griz from the morning show. Really good to speak to you. I'm so sorry I haven't spoken to you earlier. I've just got your message. And he said, Griz, and it was in a really gruff voice. He said, Griz, I need to talk to you. I was like, oh no, I think I'm in trouble here. And he said, I was doing up my shoelaces on the end of my bed and you started speaking about smiling on the morning show. I said, yeah, Duncan, I did speak about smiling on the morning show and I'd love to get your feedback. He said, well, my wife, she's in palliative care at the moment and she's about to die. He said she's at stage 4, metastatic breast cancer, and she's not coming home. And he said every day we go to her hospice, and I've got 2 grown sons, an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old boys, and we go into her room, and I don't smile, and they don't smile, and she doesn't smile, and the room is quite miserable. He said, because we're just pissed off. So we go in, and we just all sit there, and we just talk about really nothing, and we go home at night, and I cry, and he was just really quite animated about this whole thing. And he said, so I stopped doing up my shoelaces and I listened to your segment about smiling. I thought, I'm going to give this a go. Whatever Griz is telling me, I'm going to give it a go. He said, so I walked into her room and I opened up the door and I put on this big smile. And he said, Griz, she turned around and she looked at me and she started crying. And I was like, oh, now I'm really in trouble. Duncan is going to absolutely rip shreds off me. And he said, she turned around and she cried and she said to me, that was how you looked as I was standing at the end of the altar, ready to walk down to the altar to marry you. She said, you turned around and that was the look on your face. And she said, that was all I needed. Now I can go to heaven with that memory of you, not the sad, upset, cranky Duncan memory. So he said, all of a sudden, I realised that none of us had been smiling and her room didn't have a smile in it. So he said, I rang the boys, I ran outside and I said to boys, when you come in and see your mother, you bring a smile. And if you can't bring a smile, don't bother coming in. And then he proceeded to put a little sign on her door. And in the door was, welcome only if you're wearing a smile. And he did this big smile and he sent me a photo and he said, and the room has changed. The room has purely changed because we're smiling. And I said, oh, Duncan, you know, that's made my day, because I run around and say all these random things. I just say them. I don't know if they have impact. I don't really know if people take them away and use them or do them. And I said, the fact that you've made an effort for a week to ring me and tell me that this has changed your world has changed mine forever. And then I got a text message a week later saying that his wife had gone to heaven and could I go to their funeral. So what's really interesting in all of this is when I give you these little tips and hints of making your bed or smiling, they're really little and it doesn't take much to do. Yet the change that I hear about and I see people do from doing them, and it makes you feel better if you're smiling. Like, it's really hard to be cranky to someone smiling at you, and it's also really hard for you to stay cranky if you're smiling. So if you are having a crappy day and you don't know how to smile, I spoke on the Today Show and we spoke about gifts at Christmas time when you get a crappy gift. And I said, if you want to have that really good smile about, yeah, I got the best gift ever, shove a pen in your mouth like this. I can't believe I'm doing this on a webinar. And that will make you smile. So put it, I can't believe I'm speaking like the pen in my mouth. So do that. And then the minute you take it out, innately you start smiling. So if you are feeling crappy, just go and grab your handbag, grab a pen out and go to another room, put a pen in your mouth for a sec, take it out, and you're going to feel better. And the other really good one to do, if you haven't got a pen or a pencil handy, is this one, is sit tall, close your eyes, smile, and open your eyes. And that will also bring this wad of dopamine through and make you feel better. Now, we all know that smiling is really important and we all try and do it. I really encourage you, as that's going to make you feel. And if that's the only thing you take away from today is smile and the world smiles with you. It also means that if you smile, you can give someone else something that they may not have seen for the whole day. So it's, you know, it's twofold. It's smile for yourself, because it makes you feel better, but just smiling makes other people really hard to be cranky at you or cranky at stuff if you are smiling at them. So give as many smiles away a day as you can, and I can guarantee you're going to feel better. Are there any questions on that from my hosting? Does anyone want to say anything that they've written down for chat? Let me keep going. Nick, there's nothing that I need to address?
We've got two people with their hands up, Nadine DeLong and Diane Miranda. So I'm just going to ask them what their questions are. I think, I'm not sure if you can bring them on.
I can't.
If you can allow them to talk, or just.
I'd love them to talk. I'd love everyone to talk. I hate talking by myself.
Can you go to the unless you hand back the hosting, but I don't want to lose you on the video. Unless, if you right click, go to the participants. Yeah. And then maybe right click and see if you can.
Unmute them. Yeah, I'd love to love to chat. Oh no, hang on.
Or throw your questions via the Q&A section if you have any questions.
Yep. I would love to hear you chat because I love other voices, because then it becomes much more intimate. But I don't know how I can do that. I'm still trying. You're using encrypted sound. Yeah, it's not letting me do anything. Unmute Nicole. So I'm able to unmute. I'm only able to unmute the three of you guys. Hang on, let me go to attendees. Sorry, guys. No, allowed to talk, allowed to talk, allowed to talk, allowed to talk. I'm clicking everyone saying allowed to talk. Is that helping? I'm clicking whatever I want. See, get ready, guys, because I told you you're going to be in the ride of your life. Allowed to talk.
Yeah.
Can anyone talk?
I can talk.
Oh!
But I think that's because I'm a panelist.
Yeah.
If you can't talk, please chat through and I can certainly talk to you as soon as we're done. But if there's any burning questions or you want to talk away. I love a chat, you know that, for anything. No? All right, so don't forget, smile and the world smiles with you. My next, oh no, now everything's going off. Here we go. Okay, We are learning to surf the crazy waves every day. You can't stop the waves, but learning to surf. So all of these tips and hints and everything that people are trying to give you at the moment is information for you to do with what's important and appropriate for you. So we're not asking you to, we can't stop the waves. We can't stop what's happening with the pandemic. We can learn, though, to surf and muddle our way through it. And some days you're going to be able to muddle much better than other days. And that's also okay. And we'll talk at a moment about positivity, toxic positivity, and optimism, and the difference between them all. And what I don't want you leaving today with is going, oh my God, I've got to be positive like Griz. Because I don't want you to be. I want you to have your crappy days. I want you to have the days where you want to throw something at the wall. What I want you to do, though, is find on the good days how you can make them really good and then replicate those for more than one day every so often. So it's all about your mindset. So life is genuinely and really only as good as your mindset. If you think that everything's bad, your mind is going to focus on that negativity. And we'll talk about some of the studies shortly from some really amazing professors and a nun study where we talk about your mind absolutely dictates how you feel. Your mind dictates parts of your health. Your mind dictates so many things. So if we can get your mindset right for more days than not, we're in a much better position to be able to get through to the end of 2020. So talking about mindset, there's what we call fixed and growth. And I'm sure lots of you guys know all of this stuff. So I'm going to whiz through this bit really quickly because there's some stuff that I want to focus on more importantly at the end. Your growth mindset is all about freedom. It's about you thinking to yourself, you know what? I can go and achieve anything I want to do. I will face up to the failures. I will have the courage to stand strong. And if I fail, at least I've given it a go. And I can tell you, when I left the pharma industry 14 years ago, I had this amazing job in pharma, and I was traveling all over the world and getting paid in this nice director role. And I remember when I told all of my friends and family that I was going to start up a company, they just looked at me and thought I was crazy. Griz, why would you do that? You've got everything, you've got the best of everything. And I said, because I just want to do it myself, because I just want to. And what's the worst that can happen is if it doesn't work, I go back into pharma and into healthcare and into stuff that I know and love anyway. So I figured there was no lose-lose, but I had every single person, even my parents, saying to me, oh, don't do it. Don't do it. You're all like living this little healthy life. And I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today if I didn't have the courage and the guts to go, I'm going to give it a go with my growth mindset, and what's the worst that can happen. Now, on the way, would I do things differently? Absolutely. Would I have changed that, maybe planned a bit before just leaving a job and having nothing? Probably so. Looking back at it now, it's all the failures that have made me grow and made me be, I'll just talk myself up now, maybe be as great as I possibly can be. But what I want you to think about is find inspiration as a growth mindset in other success stories. If you see someone else doing something and you want to do it, well, go and do it. We were thinking a few months ago, my daughter Jamie Lee, who's 25, and I were about to launch a podcast, which is crazy, and you'll see it all around the traps that we're doing it with Channel 7 and other bits and pieces. But everyone said to us, oh, there's so many podcasts out there, don't do it. And we said, but is there a generational gap, one, between mother and daughter talking about dating in the 70s when I did, or the 90s, compared to dating what it's like now, and SMSs and emojis, and I'm going on the line, and all of this stuff started to happen, and we thought, what, even if there's another 500 podcasts, there's not one with Griz and JL, so let's give it a go. So we are evolving and changing all the time. We embrace challenges, accept criticism, accept it though because someone's telling you, because they want you to be as great as they can be. And I say this often when I'm doing coaching. I say to someone, if you need to tell someone to do something differently, I was the worst manager because I only ever gave people positive feedback and I didn't like to give any negative. And then I started to say to my brain, if I want to develop my team and make them as successful as they want to be, and I don't give them any developmental feedback, they're never going to be as great as they can be because I'm holding them back. So I'd always say that in my mind, and then I proceed to give them some areas for development. And I would say to myself, I'm doing this because I want them to be the best they can be. So embrace challenges, embrace criticism, have a desire to learn. Now, be it learn macrame, be it while you're in lockdown, what is something that you want to do? Is it hat making? Is it, I don't know, that knitting Nancy? No, so now I'm showing my generational age gap. But, I don't mind what it is. Go and do something that you don't normally do. You might find that you love it. Everyone's tried the cooking, everyone's tried everything. But just go, you know what, if I could learn anything at the moment, I want to do it. Give it a go. What's the worst that can happen is it doesn't become your lifelong career. And also be adaptable. So your growth mindset is that mindset that says, I'm going to try everything. And I might fail and I might succeed. It doesn't matter. I gave it my best shot and I'm going to feel good about it. The fixed mindset, as you know, is much more limiting. You give up easily. You get threatened by other people's successes. Your desire is to always look smart. So you only answer questions where you know you're going to get the right answer, and you don't take extra knowledge because you think that you know everything. Effort is a bit fruitless. You ignore feedback and fixed abilities. Now, obviously, in some areas, you're going to have a fixed mindset because you've had a really bad experience. Or in some areas, you're going to have a fixed mindset because you actually think there is no way I can surf, or there's no way that I can rock climb, or there's no way, because you've had a bad experience. And we talk about that legacy in psychology. It's all about previous legacy suggests that that's how it's going to happen next time. And I'll give you an AFL example because I know you guys in Melbourne are missing AFL terribly. And so if you think about someone at the grand final, they've got a minute to go and they go to kick a goal to win. And they kick the goal and they hit it and it's just a point. And then it's 28 seconds and they've got that other opportunity again to go and kick that goal and get a win for their team for the grand final of 2020. And in their mindset, they're like, I won't be able to do this because I missed it last time. So when you start talking about legacy, you bring that legacy from what happened at the minute mark to the 28-second mark, and straight away your brain says, well, I actually can't do that. So you have to not think about legacy if you want to get out of a fixed mindset, because you keep doing things the same way because you've had a bad experience previously. So you just go, I'm going to stick to the stuff that I know that's trusted and true and will get me through. Well, I encourage you in this time more than any to embrace anything and give stuff a go and hug it and love it and try it. And who knows, it might be the best thing that you've ever done. So when you know that you're saying to yourself, I just can't do it, work out why you're saying it. And if there's a legitimate reason, you know, I don't want to rock climb because something really bad happened, I broke my leg and arm, or don't go and rock climb. But don't just say, I can't do it because it looks hard. If it's something that you really want to do, just give it a shot. There is nothing to be lost in that. So on that note, why do babies learn so much? It's all about their mindset. So when you think about this, babies never stop using their brain. They fail an unbelievable amount of times, but the effort continues every single day. They think about how much they've accomplished in a few years. They're all of a sudden from nothing able to control their body. They can laugh, they can talk, they can crawl, and they can walk. So think about how often you see a baby just fall down and a baby fall out of things and they can't even find their mouth and they've got food all over their face. Yet as we grow up, we can do all of that stuff. Now, if we have a fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset, we'd never ever learn any skill ever. So think about going back to when you're a baby, you just tried everything, you were fearless, you were courageous, and nothing mattered, and you were just going to get up those stairs if you had to crawl and fall and crawl and walk and slide down banisters, but you did it. So go back to thinking, I want to do this, and remind yourself that you've done it before. You have had a growth mindset before when you were all babies. Don't underestimate the importance of a growth mindset. So are you a 2%er? When we talk about 2%er, there's only 2% of the population that have the mindset, and there's so many, again, studies on this. Most people stick to what they know, their comfort zone. So they stick to the whole, I'll just do this and I'll stay comfortable and I won't try that because people might laugh or people might think I'm silly. And Brene Brown, I don't know if any of you know her, she's an extraordinary speaker and she's got this brilliant Netflix show on at the moment, and it goes for an hour and talks about courage, about being brave. And she talks about the man in the arena, and I don't know if you know, but Roosevelt's speech, he talks about, until you stand in this arena with me, you don't have the right to say I did a good or a bad job, because you're not up here delivering this speech, you're not up here on a TED talk, you're not up here doing this webinar. So we're quite quick to judge people, but until you've done the same, try not to judge them. And if you can get that mindset, you are absolutely going to be part of this 2% of population, which you embrace the good with the bad, you embrace the change, you embrace the failure, but most of all, you embrace life and you just keep on going. So I really encourage you to think about going for your dreams. On the outside of that circle that you can see there now, talks about things like confidence and exploring new things and choosing happiness. Now, we'll get to happiness in a moment because some of you are saying, Griz, you keep saying happiness, but I'm not happy. And I get that. And we'll talk about what I mean when I talk happiness shortly. Fulfillment. Fulfillment isn't by just staying in your rut. There is so much more to explore. So go and find your fulfillment and fall down and dust yourself off and get back up and do it all again. Act in spite of fear. Live without limits, enjoy change or embrace change. Now, change is hard for everybody. So I'm not thinking for 1 minute there are people around there who just love it. What they do, though, is they embrace it as opposed to being scared of it. Now, all of us at the moment are embracing some sort of change because nothing is what it was like for us. So you're able to do it because you're in the middle of doing it. It's the how you do it and the outcome of how you feel about doing it. That is what the embracement part about is. Be exciting and embrace the unknown, because who knows where the unknown is going to leave you. So I really, really want you in this time where you are in lockdown to think about how you can become one of the 2%ers in life, which is only 2% of the population do a lot of this stuff. Go and be that. At this moment in time, you can do it because you've got the time. Work out how you are going to, deal with the change that's coming. When are you going to go, what are your dreams even? Like, if you could do anything in the world, what would they be? Well, you know what? Start somewhere, write them down. That's a start point. And then go, I might need to speak to Griz about that, or I want to sing. So then you might want to start, buying some music online and singing. Whatever it is, this is your opportunity to do it, and you will never get this opportunity again. Go and be a 2%er, because it's a really cool spot to be on the outside of that circle and not always in the middle. There'll be some days we're in the middle, and I'm okay with that. I don't want you to settle for the middle, because you deserve more. Life is so short, as we know. So don't just settle. Go and kick yourself and go, right, I'm going to do this and give it a go. And you might fall down, but what if you don't? So that's the 2%, a little spiel for you. My next one is, I need you to have a self-trust mindset. You absolutely, at this time, you have to say to yourself, to me, I am perfect. You are going to have to create it. You're going to have confidence in yourself. You're going to have to get rid of those voices that say that you can't. Now, all of this stuff is really scary, and I don't expect you to leave me and go, right, now I've got a 2% mind thing, and I'm going to make my bed every day, and self-trust, have a self-trust mindset. Some of this stuff, though, just think about it for a moment and think about, how can I incorporate that into currently what I'm doing? And this whole self-trust thing is what's going to get you through. It's me trusting that I can stand here today in front of you and give you some stuff to make you laugh, make you think, make you feel good, and make you challenge yourself on what you are doing. I've got to have the confidence. And when I woke up this morning, I didn't have a voice in my head going, oh, these people are really going to hate me today. I woke up going, I am so lucky, and it's a privilege to be asked to hang out with you guys during your lunch and learn. So it's just changing my mindset. So then I skip around the house, and I get excited, and I put my dress on and brush my hair, and I feel good. So there's no voices going, they're going to hate it, they're going to hate it. Because if I listen to those voices, I will do a really, really bad job, and you probably will. I have to say, these guys are going to value, they're going to get something out of it, and they're going to walk away thinking differently. And that's what I have to be saying to myself. So all this stuff that we say, don't talk to yourself, I absolutely talk to myself all the time, and it gets me through. So don't underestimate the self-trust mindset. And the other mindset I want to share with you today is the whole positive versus optimistic mindset. Now, this is where there's a blurred line. And I'm not saying you've got to run around and be positive, because it is a really hard environment to be that. What I'm asking you to do is be optimistic. And the main difference between positive and optimistic is you see a light at the end of that tunnel. Even in the darkest days of Melbourne, where you're looking at a September 20 still stage 4 lockdown, or September 19 or 14, you've still got that light that says, maybe by November, maybe by Christmas, or maybe in January we'll be able to get to the beach. But it's seeing that there is light, and there's not just black forever. So that's optimistic. And positivity means every day you walk up and you go, gee, this is great, isn't it? Now, I'm not expecting that any of you are saying that at the moment. What I want you to think about, though, is you mightn't have a positive mindset all the time, but bits of your day, can you start picking out the positive bits of your day? Now, that might be someone made you a really good coffee, or it might be that someone used your name, or it might be that you hung out with all of us for 1 hour. That might be your positive bit for the day. So I'm not asking you to run around being positive, but I want you at night, and we'll talk about a little action plan, is to find 3 things in any day that are positive. That's all, just 3 things. Now, to start with, you'll find that really hard, and we'll talk about where that comes from in the data and the research behind it shortly. But as a little footnote to you guys, 3 things today that you're going to write down tonight. And you're going to do that for 21 days. And I know you're going, oh, Griz. It gets easier, because what happens with our brain currently is we have this filter on, and our brain can only see negative, because all the news we get every day, all day, negative feed, coronavirus, lockdown, it's just negative. So our brain only focuses on negative. It can't even see the positives pop up. So we've got to retrain our brain right about now to say, you know what, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, but I'm going to sit down tonight and I'm going to find, by hook or by crook, 3 things. If it's someone used my name, someone wrote me a nice text, I got a really nice card in the mail. I don't mind what it is, but if you can write down 3 things, your brain tomorrow will start scanning to try and find more positive. And come 21 days, your brain isn't looking for negative anymore. There's more positive in it. Now, even if those moments are only slight and fleeting, your brain will start to pick up on them, because our news feeds, there's no positivity. People have stopped watching news because all it is negative, and their brain just can't see the wood for the trees. So when I talk positive, I talk about finding a tiny thing in your day that's been good. Now, you might have a day when nothing in the whole wide world's been good. Well, you woke up, you're not in hospital, so that's something good. You got up out of bed, that's something good. You made your bed, that's something good. That's 3 things before you've even really moved. So you might have to look hard, and you might have to just be cranky with me. I really encourage you to do it, because at the moment, our brains, and we do this in the media all the time, we are flooding you with negativity, because that's the stories that we're promoting. We're not promoting happy stories. The project does have a happy bit, and it's so nice when that part of it comes on. But because no one's promoting any positivity, our brains can't find it. The only way it finds it is if you start actively retraining that brain muscle to find positivity. So don't underestimate it. And I've got a really nice story that I want to share with you in the next slide. So optimism versus positivity versus toxic positivity. So this little duck here has found a tiny bit of water, that positive bit in that whole car park where he can sit there and be in his water. So I want you to be reminded that it's not necessarily the reality that shapes us, but the lens which your brain views the world shapes your reality. Now, Sean Acor he's studied the happiness advantage. So he's a psychologist, and he does TED Talks, and they're amazing. If we had a lot of time, I was going to show you it, but it goes for 13 minutes, and I didn't want to lose 13 minutes of you watching Sean. I thought that could be something you can do when you're sitting at home over the coming days. But he talks about the psychology of happiness and positivity, and he really does talk about this lens, that the world is viewed by the lens that you choose to view it in, as opposed by opening it up and changing your lens, and you'll have a whole different outlook on life. So optimism, positivity, and toxic positivity. And I did a segment on toxic positivity not that long ago on telly. And toxic positivity is when you've got those friends, don't name me, I might one of them, well, I sort of was one of them, and I didn't realise it, that still found good in everything. Don't worry, it's all good, everything's good, I'll find good, at my detriment, because I want to share a really personal story with you now to give you understanding that I get what I'm talking about. So my husband, Dean, we've been married 27 years, together for 30, and we have a 25-year-old daughter. 2 years ago, Christmas Eve, he fell down at home and pretty much had a heart attack and died, right? So raced him to Prince Alfred Hospital, and they said to me, he's very, very sick. We don't know that if he's going to survive, he'll have to have open heart surgery. And for 3 weeks, we waited because it was Christmas Eve and he was too sick. They wanted to do the robot surgery on him, which was a new surgery. And he was a 22nd patient in the world to have this new robotic open heart surgery type thing. And he was really, really sick, so they couldn't put him in surgery. So we waited 3 weeks and he couldn't move. Like, he literally, they had him in a bed with this monitor on, and he couldn't move, he couldn't have a shower, he couldn't do it. He just had to stay still until he could have his open heart surgery. So this was him in intensive care a couple of days after open heart surgery. And I'm like, oh my God, everything's great, everything's good, he survived, the world's perfect, la, 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 la. He didn't recover really well from his open heart surgery. He just wasn't recovering. And I kept saying to people, he's not recovering. And they said, Griz, he's had the most biggest scare of his whole wide world. Just give him time. Stop being so, why hasn't he recovered? Everything should be back to normal. 6 months in, he still wasn't great. 9 months in, I started to notice behavioural change. And everyone was saying, well, he's had a life-death experience, so of course his behaviour's going to be different. I said, look, I've known him for 30 years and I reckon something else is wrong. So I insisted with the doctor, I wanted him to go and get a brain scan because I thought he just couldn't make a decision about dinner. And he's a police negotiator and he gets people off the Harbour Bridge and he keeps us safe through terror, and he's in these high-pressure situations. He trained police in southern Baghdad. He's been in Iraq fight. Like, he's just done everything. He's this amazing guy. And I saw him before my eyes become this really different guy. And everyone kept putting it down to heart. Everyone's saying, stop stressing. Anyway, we found a brain tumour on his frontal lobe. So 12 months after heart surgery, we then end up in another hospital with a brain tumour that was very severe, and they had to obviously they couldn't do it through his eyebrow. They said initially, I will take it out through his eyebrow, and many intensive care. And they said, we're so sorry, Griz, but it was much bigger than we thought, and we had to go into his skull, which they were going to do, but through his eyebrow, not through his whole head. Now, I remember the day the doctor said we found a brain tumour, I got into that lift with Dean and I was so excited. I was jumping out of my skin going, thank God I'm not going crazy, and thank God you're going to be better. So I was really positive. I was so excited, and we got in the lift and I turned around to Dean and he was bawling his eyes out. And I looked at him And I said, you're going to be better. This is the best news because you were really sick again and I don't want you to be sick anymore. And he said, Griz, I've just been told that if they keep the brain tumour in, I'm going to die. And if they take it out, I can die during surgery. What's to be excited about? I was like, because we know what's wrong and they're going to fix you. So my toxic, and at that point it had become toxic positivity. He was so angry that I was happy. And I was so angry that he couldn't see the happiness because we'd finally got a diagnosis and I wasn't going crazy and they were going to remove it and he was going to be fine. So all of a sudden you get these two worlds colliding of me and the lift being happy and then going, my world's, I'm just recovering from open heart surgery and now I've got a brain tumour. So I just sat in the lift and went, oh my goodness. So we got home and I said, quick, sign the papers. And he's like, I'm not signing them. I'm not having this operation. And I was like, positive, positive, positive. And then I went, shit. I just have to stop for a moment and stop saying this is all great. And so I remember turning to him and going, this is the shittest thing. And I swore a lot, but I won't swear with you guys. But I said a lot of F words. I said a really bad word. I said a C word. And then he looked at me and he's like, thank God you're normal. And it was only at that point that I really understood toxic positivity, when I kept trying to find good, when I just had to stop for a moment and go, you know what, this actually isn't good. There is nothing good about this. It's crap. But I was still trying to find the goodness. So what I want you to take away from this is, other than Dean's great now, he had his 1 year scan on Monday. So we find out on Monday next week. We got back to the brain surgeon. So he's certainly well on the way to recovery. But at that moment, it was when I realised, shit, it's okay to also say stuff shit. So, and again, I'm swearing on this webinar. So please don't underestimate. If you're having a crappy day, say it and shout it from the rooftops. Don't be the person that is toxic positivity to your friends. If they need to listen to you, an ear for you to listen, then listen. So it was a massive learn for me. Any questions on that before we move on? No? Alrighty. So the happiness advantage, and this is what is come out of all of this data from Sean Aker, and it's really, really good stuff where he does talk about this positivity lens. And he says if your brain is in the happiness advantage space, so it's not negative or it's not obviously neutral, but it's in this really happy space, your sales are 37% more effective. Doctors in the happiness space, and this is real data, it's not Griz made up stuff, doctors are 19% faster and more accurate at coming up with the correct diagnosis. You are 3 times more creative, 31 times more productive, 40% more likely to receive a promotion, 23% feel fatigue syndromes, up to 10% more engaged, 39% more likely to live to 94 and above. And when you're in this happiness advantage space, all your learning centres are turned on, and this is what excites me, is if you can teach someone something and they're in a happy spot, they're more likely to learn. So even think of this for your customers when you go back. Sorry, I'm just looking at, oh my God, it's 12:55. I've still got stuff to talk about. So are you okay to keep going through it? I've got 2 more videos I really want to show you. We'll get to that. Of course you're okay. What else are you going to do in the afternoon and hang out with me? Are we right to keep going?
Absolutely.
Oh, yay. All right, cool. What I want you to think about, though, is this happiness advantage. If you are in this spot in your brain, all of this stuff happens. So, and again, that's different to positivity. I don't want to give you mixed messages. I want you to be as happy as you can, but understand that if you're too positive when someone needs you to be not happy for a moment, that's okay as well. 39% of people more likely to live to age 94, and this is a really important point. And Sean says, and I encourage you to read this or watch this TED Talk, but he talks about those 3 things every single day. He said to get you into the happiness advantage spot in your brain, find 3 good things a day and journal them for 21 days, and that will change the filter on your brain. He talks about things like giving someone a compliment. Now, that does not mean, oh my gosh, Griz, you look so pretty in that black dress today. Oh, feel free to say that. What that means is if someone's done something, thank them. If someone's done something, shout them out and say, thank you for doing that, or I really appreciate that. Just a bit of gratitude for someone will change your happiness advantage spot in your brain. So he talks about meditation, he talks about exercises, a whole lot of things you can do, and you don't have to do all of them. I encourage you to start with just the 3 things in a day, and you will start to see change, because your brain will start to look for even more positive things in your day. So on that note, they did a nun study, and this is really extraordinary. So the nuns have taught us a lot. And again, you can look this up. It's a really good one. But what happened was nuns went into a convent at the age of 22. 180 handwritten nun autobiographies. And what they did was they looked at the autobiographies of the nuns going in, and the ones that were really positive, like, I can't wait to be in this convent, I can't wait to friends, I can't, this is such a best life experience, lucky me, versus the negative ones. I'm going to go in, I'm probably going to end up with the devil, and all of this other stuff that they wrote in their journals. And there was pretty some full-on stuff. What they realised that once they went in with that thought, they all had the same diet. They all had the same exercise regime when they went in there. They all lived the same. They had the same beds. They had the same food. Nothing else changed. The only difference with these nuns was their state of mind before walking into their convent. And the results were absolutely extraordinary. So survival rates, the longevity of the nuns, the most cheerful, 90% of nuns that went in there that wrote in their journal lived above 85 versus the least cheerful. I mean, 34% of them got to 85 years old. And again, at 94, 54% of nuns were still living at 94 if they were writing happy things before they went in there at the age of 22, and the less cheerful, only 11% went beyond 94. So you start looking at survival, and if you can find your happiness advantage, that's going to help you with survival, and dopamine, and laughter and humour is the best medicine. Children laugh about 437 times a day, and adults no more than about 15. So, you know, laughter, laugh your guts out, that creates the dopamine. And the nuns that laughed and the nuns that sung and the nuns that did all this had this amazing longevity. And so even they made it on the Time list of magazines, front covers. What they did was they donated their brains. So they've now got 500 brains from this particular study. And I mean, there's really good research on it. And they started looking at the nuns' brains, and the nuns that were happy, their brains had advanced dementia. So AD, if you're reading that, is advanced dementia. Their brains had very other poor health problems, but they weren't having dementia symptoms because their brains weren't thinking about that, and their brains were still active and functioning. Even though when we look at the autopsy of their brains should have had them a lot more sicker than they were, but for whatever reason, the happiness advantage and their positivity before they went into exactly the same living life showed that their brains handled much more and survived, all because of some happiness thoughts. Does that make sense? Of course it does, Griz. So don't underestimate. And again, you can look at all this stuff. There's some really good stuff on it. What I'm going to do now is I've got 2 more little quick videos. The first one, this is a TED Talk. It goes for about 6 minutes. There's so much good learning in it. So sit back again. Oh, no, 5 minutes. Enjoy your popcorn and have a look at this. It's all about love letters. Check it out.
I was one of the only kids in college who had a reason to go to the P.O. box at the end of the day. And that was mainly because my mother has never believed in email, in Facebook, in texting, or cell phones in general. And so while other kids were BBMing their parents, I was literally waiting by the mailbox to get a letter from home to see how the weekend had gone, which was a little frustrating when Grandma was in the hospital, but I was just looking for some sort of scribble, some unkempt cursive from my mother. And so when I moved to New York City after college and got completely sucker punched in the face by depression, I did the only thing I could think of at the time. I wrote those same kinds of letters that my mother had written me for strangers and tucked them all throughout the city. Dozens and dozens of them. I left them everywhere, in cafes and in libraries, at the UN, everywhere. I blogged about those letters in the days when they were necessary, and I posed a kind of crazy promise to the internet that if you asked me for a handwritten letter, I would write you one. No questions asked. Overnight, my inbox morphed into this harbor of heartbreak. A single mother in Sacramento, a girl being bullied in rural Kansas, all asking me, a 22-year-old girl who barely even knew her own coffee order, to write them a love letter and give them a reason to wait by the mailbox. Well, today I fuel a global organization that is fueled by those trips to the mailbox, fueled by the ways in which we can harness social media like never before to write and mail strangers letters when they need them most. But most of all, fueled by crates of mail like this one, my trusty mail crate, filled with the scriptings of ordinary people. Strangers writing letters to other strangers, not because they're ever going to meet and laugh over a cup of coffee, but because they have found one another by way of letter writing. But you know, the thing that always gets me about these letters is that most of them have been written by people that have never known themselves loved on a piece of paper. They could not tell you about the ink of their own love letters. They're the ones from my generation, the ones of us that have grown up into a world where everything is paperless and where some of our best conversations have happened upon a screen. We have learned to diary our pain onto Facebook, and we speak swiftly in 140 characters or less. But what if it's not about efficiency this time? You know, I was on the subway yesterday with this mail crate, which is a conversation starter, let me tell you. If you ever need one, just carry one of these. And a man just stared at me and he was like, well, why don't you use the internet? And I thought, well, sir, I am not a strategist, nor am I a specialist. I am merely a storyteller. And so I could tell you about a woman whose husband has just come home from Afghanistan, and she is having a hard time unearthing this thing called conversation. And so she tucks love letters throughout the house as a way to say, come back to me, find me when you can. Or a girl who decides that she is going to leave love letters around her campus in Dubuque, Iowa, only to find her efforts ripple affected the next day when she walks out onto the quad and finds love letters hanging from the trees, tucked in the bushes and the benches. Or the man who decides that he is going to take his life, uses Facebook as a way to say goodbye to friends and family. Well, tonight he sleeps safely with a stack of letters just like this one, tucked beneath his pillow, scripted by strangers who were there for him when. You know, these are the kinds of stories that convince me that letter writing will never again need to flip back her hair and talk about efficiency, because she is an art form now. All the parts of her, the signing, the scripting, the mailing, the doodles and the margins. The mere fact that somebody would even just sit down, pull out a piece of paper and think about someone the whole way through with an intention that is so much harder to unearth when the browser is up and the iPhone is pinging and we've got 6 conversations rolling in at once. That is an art form that does not fall down to the Goliath of get faster no matter how many social networks we might join. We still clutch close these letters to our chest, to the words that speak louder than loud when we turn pages into palettes to say the things that we have needed to say, the words that we have needed to write to sisters and brothers and even to strangers for far too long. Thank you.
While again, if you've got the time, we've all been going back to cooking and going back to sewing and everyone's sewing masks and things. Don't underestimate the importance of writing how you feel down the old way, the way that I used to do it, because I'm about from the 1970s. So write things down because it's going to make you feel so much better. Typing an iPhone and quick chats, and as you said, 6 things going at once. But imagine just stopping and focusing on one thing and just writing it makes you feel so much better. So write letters for fun, write letters when you're angry, write letters when you're happy, write letters to someone. And just imagine writing a letter and sticking it in the post and someone getting a letter from you. It's a pretty cool thing to imagine. So I just wanted to bring that back into, with all the simpler things and all the craziness going on at the moment, the simplest art form is writing a love letter. So go and write a letter and write your guts out. And before I go anywhere, this is what I want to end on. This is one more video and then I'm going to wrap it up so you guys can get to eating your lunch.
We had planned to bring you a story tonight about a kind of prep school that prepares football players for the NFL draft and big contracts. But we're going to call an audible. We're going to switch sports tonight because we've run across an absolutely amazing basketball player that we want you to see. Here's Steve Hartman.
Griz Athena High School in Rochester, New York, has a new, most unlikely hero, a special ed student by the name of Jason McElwain.
Let's keep it going.
Jason is the basketball team manager. For the past couple years, he's been assisting Coach Jim Johnson, helping with whatever the team needs.
And go! Get him motivated and hand out water and just be enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic, to say the least. Despite being born with autism, Jason's father says his son has never had a problem expressing himself at basketball games.
You know, I was always concerned that he might get a technical and they'd lose a game because he, you know, start yelling or whatever.
Let's have a hard practice tomorrow, all hour and a half, and let's get ready for Arcadia.
Okay.
Let's go.
1, 2, 3, 2.
Because he has been so devoted to the team, for the last game of the season, Coach Johnson decided to let Jason actually suit up. Not to play necessarily, just to let him feel what it's like to wear a jersey. At least that was the plan. But with 4 minutes to go in last week's game, Coach Johnson stood up and pointed to number 52, Jason McElwain. After years of fetching water and toweling off other people's sweat, Jason was actually in a game. His first shot was a 20-footer from the right baseline. Was it close? Did you almost make it?
I just airballed it.
I'm like, just, dear God, please, let's just get him a basket.
His second shot missed too, but the third was a charm. A 3-point no-doubter. And Jason wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot.
If I wasn't there to witness it, I wouldn't have believed it, you know.
You caught fire.
I just caught fire. I was hot as a pistol.
Jason ended up shooting 6 3-pointers. One right after the other. He had 20 points total, and each time a shot went in, his teammates and the crowd went a little crazier. His last basket, right at the buzzer, created total mayhem. Because he is autistic, Jason says he's used to feeling different, but never this different. Never this wonderful. Steve Hartman, CBS News, Rochester, New York.
Alrighty, I want you to go out there and be hot as pistols. I want you to try things we've spoken about today. Think about your mindset, or think about toxic positivity, or think about smiling and the world smile with you. Think about being a dopamine dealer, and whatever you do, you might try the 3 things for a day and go, Griz, this is crap, none of those basketballs went in. Do not give up. Just keep going like Jason McElwee. Go and be as hot as pistols, and you guys have got this. From me to you, it is a bloody big, huge, gigantic thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for looking after me. And thank you for embracing what has been your lunch and learn hour and a bit of power, and not leaving me to go and get those 2-minute noodles off the stove. So have we got any questions? Yeah.
Thank you, Griz. I can't join my video. You're the hosting, so you've got all the rights. You got the power in your hand. Oh. That's okay. You can still hear me. Just a quick.
Hang on. Yeah, and now what happens? Oh, there we go.
Let's just see. No, I start, but that's okay. Thank you so much for your time. I hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you everyone for attending today. Some fantastic pieces of wisdom, some very heart-wrenching stories as well, which obviously personal to you as well. I love the 2% mindset, starting something small and building on that, and just some great pieces to take away. And, you don't have to jump in there. Have a wonderful week. Thank you again for your time. If anyone needs to reach out to Griz for your business, whatever, go front and center Learning Solutions. If you have any questions about Venus Concept, fire away. We do have another webinar coming up on Thursday, the 3rd of September, Marketing and Margaritas. We've got a wonderful number of panelists joining us there. So be sure to make, we don't have a time yet, but put that aside. I think maybe about 12:30, but that will be confirmed. Griz, thank you. You're a champ.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Smile and the world smiles with you. Later, dudes.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for organising.